Mental health has recently taken center stage, with the world starting to understand and accept the gravity of this condition. The World Health Organization sees mental health as not just the absence of mental illness, but also a state of mental well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. In 2018, Indians were found to be one of the largest populations suffering from mental illness in the world. In fact, the WHO had labelled India as the world's most depressed country. These issues have since been made considerably worse for many through the impact of COVID-19 on the socio-economic environment the world over, owing to which the Union Budget of 2022 has placed massive emphasis on mental health.
The pandemic has accentuated mental health problems in people of all ages. To better the access to quality mental health counseling and care services, a national tele-mental health program will be launched. This will include a network of 23 tele-mental health centers of excellence.
However, mental health cannot be viewed or solved in a silo. According to the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, over 80% of India's population does not have access to care services due to lack of knowledge, understanding, stigmatism, and high cost of care. To highlight the importance of mental health, create awareness, eliminate stigma, and increase mental health literacy, CNBC TV 18 presents Mind Matters, an invitation to well-being. Through the next few weeks, we join forces with experts to understand the various facets of mental illness and highlight brave people who are ready to narrate their journey of hope. With this special broadcast, we also endeavour to encourage more people to come forward and seek help when needed. I am Sohila Bajaj, and today I am joined by Anisha Padukone, CEO of Live, Love, Laugh, and Abhinav Bindra, Olympic gold medalist, both who have been canvassing for mental health for the past few years. Anisha Padukone is CEO of Live, Love, Laugh, a charitable trust founded by her sister Deepika Padukone in 2015. The foundation aims to give hope to every person experiencing stress, anxiety, or depression, and works mainly on three impact areas: mental health education for adolescents, capacity building for doctors, and access to mental health care through a rural program and free mental health resources. Abhinav Bindra is an Olympic gold medalist and has been an advocate for mental health for many years. He founded the Abhinav Bindra Foundation in 2009, dedicated to sporting excellence. Mental health is a big part of the foundation and works to support athletes, coaches, and the sporting ecosystem. Abhinav, let me start with you because you have been propagating for mental health since 2008. You brought home the country's first individual Olympic gold, and yet you voiced how it was the worst time in your life. You have to tell me about that.
Well, firstly, thank you very much for having me, and congratulations on this very important initiative. I think it's really the need of the hour, and really well done to all of you. Well, for me, my sports career was really much to do with failure, but it was ironic that when I had my greatest success in life, it was also my biggest crisis. Up until Beijing in 2008, I had just one dream. I go to bed every night with that dream of winning the gold medal at the Olympic Games, and then wake up every morning trying to make that dream a reality. And one fine day, that dream came true. And while it was, of course, the greatest thrill of my life, this singular focus that I had to achieve this dream also created a huge void in my life. And I was all dressed up with really nowhere to go. I was left completely demotivated. I really didn't know what to do with my life. And that's where I realized life is more about really enjoying the day-to-day. Right? Life is really more about savoring the journey. But it was tough. It was my greatest crisis, and it took a while to come out of it. It was also very draining. I think winning is extremely draining, and sometimes in life, we're all focused on achieving goals, and we forget that we're all human beings, and we need to continuously take care of ourselves, make sure that our batteries are recharged so that our minds and bodies are healthy.
It's so interesting that most people attribute failure with a time of learning, and yet it came to you at a time of massive success. But I do want to know that, how does one differentiate between having a really bad day or a set of bad days and saying that I need to pick myself up and how can I not be enjoying this, to knowing that something is seriously wrong?
No, that's a very good question, because I think there's a big difference between mental health symptoms and an illness. At some point of time, all of us have symptoms, and that's absolutely human and that's absolutely natural. One day to the other, we all have our low days, we all have our bad days, and that's okay. But for me, after Beijing, it was, for a couple of months, I was just completely flat, just not motivated, and just sad when I was supposed to be happy, when everybody around me was happy, and I was struggling to keep a smile on my face. Is when I realized that something was wrong, and that I needed to seek help, and I needed to ask people who knew more about the subject, and that's precisely what I did.
This is, again, reiterates why this conversation is so very important, because mental health, in the beginning, the signs can be so subtle. So how to recognize them and when to know that to do something about it is why we're having this conversation. But Anisha, let me come to you now, because you joined Live, Laugh, Laugh Foundation in 2016 as CEO. What motivated you to opt for this very important role? Was it your experience as a caregiver for your sister Deepika, who's very vociferously spoken about her, experience with depression and how important it is to talk about it? Or was it similar to Abhinav, that some pressures that you faced in your professional golfing career?
It was actually the former. I think my role as a caregiver, like you mentioned, Deepika, my sister, went through mental illness. She was diagnosed with anxiety and depression in 2014 as well as in 15. And I think we were fortunate to be able to access mental health support from professionals and continue that journey on to recovery. It is incredibly hard on the individual going through it, but it's also difficult on caregivers and family members or friends around. And while I thought that I had, a fair, decent amount of knowledge where mental health is concerned, I think it was a little bit of a reality check for me, and I was certainly not as aware as I should have been. After going through her journey, she set up the foundation as a mechanism to impact, lives on a continuous basis or in a more formal way, and that's really when I felt that I wanted to, learn more about mental health, but also be able to contribute to individuals and families like mine who had been through that journey and that experience. So that was really my main motivation for joining the foundation.
The work in that your organization does, I know you guys reach out and talk to a lot of people. How often do you think people reach out when they're just finding their footing in mental well-being?
I think well-being, falls a little bit on the resilience building spectrum, and then of course there's illness, and it's important to seek support when you fall into that illness space. By and large, there are a lot of factors that hinder people from reaching out for help, and it's important to understand that there are a lot of factors that are not necessarily limited particularly to the illness itself. So there are a lot of various social determinants of mental illness and mental health, and in a country as large and vast as India, although it doesn't, it's not only restricted to our country, but it's important to address some of these social determinants at a larger, societal level to be able to encourage people to seek help and continue on that path of well-being.
Abhinav, in your book, A Shot at History, you call yourself a yogi with a gun, so I want to know about that. But also you talk about how there are certain commonalities between, being a shooter or a golfer, because one gets obsessed with their equipment, with their processes, and one tends to go inwards to deal with all the stresses, because of which sometimes this creates a vacuum or loneliness. As someone who's been through that, how does one achieve a balance between the inside and the outside, or a homeostasis between the mind and the body?
Well, I don't think I've achieved it. A constant work in progress. Um, I don't know why I call myself a yogi with a gun, but the key is the word that you use, balance. And that is sometimes very hard to achieve. I will certainly give you one little feedback which really helped me, which was to keep a journal, to keep an energy journal, because really, mental health and just overall wellness is about finding that balance between mind and body. And sometimes, we keep pushing ourselves, and we get to the negative part of our batteries, and that is the start and the trigger to a whole lot of issues. But I think it's an important way to just create that self-awareness, that when you're not in a good space, when your energy levels are dropping, or you're getting tired and you're not giving yourself adequate rest and recovery, physically and mentally, you need to make the right interventions.
In terms of my own personal self-care, I can give a few examples. Being an athlete, of course, exercising forms a very important part of that, and I can see the difference when I get a little lazy or I don't exercise. But that really makes a difference, or it helps. Getting a good night's sleep really helps me. So these are just some of the things that have helped me personally. But having said that, different things work differently for individuals, and so I think it's important to understand that mental health is affects every person differently. It can't really be compared to any other illness, and therefore it's important to understand that each person going through something is going through their journey is different from another person's journey, and therefore I would think that the various tools that can be used would also be different for different people, and something that works for one person may not necessarily work for another person. So I think it's important to understand that, and try and find tools that really work for you as an individual.
Time for a break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, where we continue this conversation with Anisha Padukone and Abhinav Bindra.
The real heroes, if I can call them, are the individuals or the people who actually go through some form of mental illness, and either seek help or then can share their narratives and stories for others to learn from as well.
I think there has been a great destigmatization of mental health, and I think one of the only positives of the pandemic has been that there have been far more conversations surrounding mental health.
Welcome back to Mind Matters, an invitation to well-being on CNBC TV 18. We are in conversation with Abhinav Bindra and Anisha Padukone on this very important topic of mental health, how far we have come and how far we have to go. Anisha, coming to you, Live, Love, Laugh recently did a survey in 2021, and its findings are very interesting, especially when compared to your survey in 2018. One of the things that really jumped out is that, according to this survey, 92% of respondents said that they're open to getting mental health treatment, as opposed to 54% in 2018. What do you attribute this favorable change in attitude to?
I think a combination of different things. Predominantly, I think it can be attributed to the work of organizations like Live, Love, Laugh, like Abhinav Bindra Foundation. I know they also do some important work in athletes' mental health. The role of say celebrities like a Deepika or like an Abhinav, being vulnerable enough to share their journeys or experiences with mental illness. As well as policymakers. One of the most significant improvements in the mental health space within India over the last few years has been the passing of the Mental Health Care Act in 2017, and I think that has also led to a significant improvement. All of this is supportive of the fact that the real heroes, if I can call them, are the individuals who, or the people who actually go through some form of mental illness and either seek help or then can share their narratives and stories for others to learn from as well.
Completely, which is why it was so important for us to have, you and Abhinav on this show, because both of you have dealt with it personally and as a caregiver. And like Anisha mentioned, mental wellness is a huge part of the Abhinav Bindra program. And you've also been doing this now for many, many years. So what do you see? Has there been progress in this space in the last few years?
I think there has been a great destigmatization of mental health, and I think one of the only positives of the pandemic has been that there have been far more conversations surrounding mental health. Naysayers and cynics of mental health suddenly felt some symptoms or issues for themselves. So there's a greater amount of sensitivity around mental health, and I think we must build on this momentum going forward. And that's what we are trying to do with participation in sport in India. And that's where we need to create an environment which fosters these dual career pathways, which makes sure that athletes build different pillars in their life and don't put all their eggs in one basket, just the way I did. Athletes, there's a great misconception that athletes are immune to any kind of mental health illness or disorder. But in fact, I would believe that athletes are even more vulnerable because we lead very interesting lives. We have a constant of dealing with failure, a constant of dealing with success. There's a physiological stress of just simply training, and that in itself can sometimes lead to mental health issues. There's constant travel, lack of sleep, improper recovery. I think physical injury for an athlete is a very tough moment, even on a mental level, because the athlete is very vulnerable because their career is suddenly threatened, and don't know what's going to happen next. An impending end of a career transition out of sport is something which is very, very difficult. And that's again a very big red flag. So of course the foundation is working to of course create these psychologically safe environments for athletes to participate in sport, for athletes to compete in sport. But it's also a lot about educating not just the athletes, but it is really about educating the whole ecosystem that surrounds the athletes, the environment that is built around an athlete's life. The way the coaches communicate with athletes, the way administrators in sport communicate with athletes. These are all very, very critical elements. That's what, in our small, humble way, we are trying to at least educate different ecosystems in sport on the importance of building these safe environments.
Anisha, coming to you, can you tell me now that, since 2016, you've been at it, you've seen a lot of favorable outcomes in the last 2 years, as Abhinav said, that could be perhaps the one silver lining of COVID. Now, what's next? What can we do to keep adding to this momentum? How do we ensure that there is more awareness, accessibility, affordability?
I think the answer is pretty simple. It comes down to everyone just picking up their own responsibilities where mental health is concerned, because this is really something that can affect an illness that can affect anybody of any age, any socioeconomic background. It spans the entire globe really. So for India as a country in particular, I think at various different levels, whether that is at an individual level for each person to ensure that they're taking care of their own mental health and also contributing as an individual living in the society. At a policy level, ensuring that, for example, I talked about the Mental Health Care Act and similar such acts that have been very, very beneficial to the entire mental health ecosystem. When you look at organizations, either within the mental health spectrum or otherwise, contributing and doing their bits, philanthropists and donors contributing more to the cause. while we're on the show, I think media houses, for example, and I want to just also point out that there has been, over the last 5 or 6 years, also been uh, an increase in the number of media houses who are picking up mental health as an important topic, and a show like this is just one of those examples. So I think just to summarize, just everyone within the the ecosystem picking up their own responsibilities and contributing, and really investing in mental health, and that is really what I see as the roadmap for the years ahead. Having said that, I think it's important to note that we have made some amount of uh, uh, progress from maybe even 5 or 6 years ago. So we're definitely on the right track, but yes, there is still a long way to go.
Right. So I think the important thing is that we've started. And Abhinav, before we go, what do you think that we can do as with the way forward?
Well, I think in your introduction, you had mentioned that the WHO study some time ago ranked us right up there as one of the most depressed countries in the world, which is pretty shocking. Which also means that, while we create resources to deal with mental health, we also have to introspect why we've reached that stage. And we have to work also on prevention. And there, I believe sport can play a very meaningful role in fostering these positive environments, both at a physical level and both at a mental level. Apart from winning and making the country proud, sport has the power of sport goes much deeper. Sport can build healthy bodies and minds. Sport helps build friendships. Sport helps build positive teamwork, positive team environments. And there, I believe that every young boy and girl in this country should really leverage on the power of sport and be given opportunities to play sport for the sheer joy of playing sport. So sport has a really meaningful role to play, even while dealing with an issue of mental health.
I agree, and here's to sports and the discipline it can give everyone, and here's to both of you, doing such amazing work in this very sensitive field, and onwards and upwards from here. And we hope that through this endeavor of ours, that we can really support this cause and spark a conversation. So thank you very much, Abhinav and Anisha, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of Mind Matters, an invitation to well-being. Do join us next week as we delve further into the different facets of mental health, speak to subject matter experts, and also have real people telling their stories. And also, before we go, we do want to say the bravest form of strength is vulnerability. Hence, it's okay to say you're not okay.